11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Excuse me. That'd be a long shift right there. But 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. we generally roam around. We have 2 cars on patrol. Then, after around 1 a.m., we start heading to rendezvous back with each other. And then we meet and we head to 6th Street. And, you know, we head to 6th and Trinity, where we generally gather together. And, you know, we've learned APD's tactics and how they do. They gather together at 6th and Trinity, and then they'll have a few squads that patrol through 6th Street. But the mass body stays at 6th and Trinity. And then as incidents happen, they blow the whistle, and then they flow out from 6th and Trinity to wherever the incident is. And so we stay there with them and flow out with them as incidents break off. And then at 2 a.m. is when the Goon Squad comes out. The Goon Squad is the foulest in all of Austin's police department. You know, no doubt about it. It's 4 officers on horses, which is creepy. 4 horses.
I know.
They finally added a 5th, so it's not a biblical like apocalypse anymore whenever they roll out.
Is there a white one? A pale
Yes,
one?
there is a white one.
A pale horse?
There is a pale horse. And the pale horse, I believe, is... No, the pale horse is the one that tried to show me. The pale horse is the sweetest one. When the animal's not on top of it, that is.
Ironic.
So... But anyways, you know, these animals in uniform get on the horses.
What is it? And he who sat upon him was death?
Yes.
That's the biblical verse.
So they flow out into the streets, into 6th Street, and then they literally take up the street with all the horses and march through, and they will not stop at all. They will not stop. They march through, and they literally force people out of the street. People nearly get trampled quite frequently. You know, they've tried attacking me a couple of times while filming. One of the infamous videos is online, you know, Comrade meets the cavalry, from late July. But anyways, so what I do is I head the Goon Squad patrol, where I try to get some other fleet-footed people, and we have you know, one on each side of the street, and then I hop 30 feet off in the middle of the street in front of them and film. Or we'll keep going.
Yep.
So one thing I noticed is some people have separate little cameras using your cell phone. Cell phone video is actually pretty good these days. So
Do you want to shoot? Sorry, go ahead. Thanks.
So
No, just take it and just.
And I'll give you a little trick, and you're actually pretty good at it. Like whenever you're being interviewed by somebody,
just hang it at me. Just film.
so whenever you're being interviewed by somebody,
Huh?
whenever you're being interviewed by somebody, like, you shouldn't hear me talking. So if I ask you something like, what's your favorite color, you would always say, well, my favorite color is red. You know,
Red.
You always, well, you don't say red, you repeat the question back. You know what I mean?
God, okay,
You're
good.
actually doing it.
Good.
Like, so for example, when I say, like, I noticed you're using your cell phone camera versus a normal camera, you say, well, I prefer to use my cell phone camera because, you know what I mean? So that's
Yes.
just a little trick, like whenever you're doing
Thank you.
a interview, you don't want to hear the interviewer, usually in a documentary, so you would repeat back whatever he asks. And you actually did it already, so.
Thank you very much for that tip. That's really good.
Instinctually.
Very good. So yeah, you know, as I was saying with you know, the Goon Squad and everything, with that squad patrol, we have to hop 30 feet off, and I have to backpedal up and down 6th Street with a camera aimed directly at them the whole time. It's the only way to hold them down. Like, they'll hold off from directly charging into people, and they'll hold off some of their aggressiveness, but I've called some very creepy, very disturbing actions from them, where one night 2 blind guys were standing in the street when they were coming at them, and they can see the walking stick that they have. They don't stop, and I had to charge up there really, really fast, and I got it on film. And I put my arm around one of the blind guys, and you know, I screamed at him to stop, that they were blind. And then the lady just yelled at me, well, get him out of the street, you know, as if it was my job to protect the public, which it is now. When thugs like this take over the roles of the public servants, you know, the citizens themselves, excuse me, the human beings themselves, who have to stand up to defend and protect their own community. So apparently they feel that we are already the protectors and defenders of the community to address me that way, you know, as if it's my responsibility to protect people. So they've already admitted that, you know, it's not their responsibility to protect vulnerable people.
You know, I hate to do this while we're doing this. I'm going to try and stick your overhead light on.
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
So,
That's actually better.
It's way better. That's
so yeah,
Actually, you know what, flip the one on the back, too.
Is that working?
There we go.
Even better.
Spanish for y'all.
Damn, I can
Since we're
see
in
it.
Texas.
I know, it's like...
There you go. Now he can
So
be
we'll keep this in mind in the future. But yeah, you know, that's a good bit about what goes on with the patrols. There's also the police complaint departments that are starting back up, where we set up a booth right in front of Travis County Jail. And as people are released, we get them food and water and let them use their cell phones so they can call people to come pick them up.
Red River Street. Go down that.
Yeah, sure. You know, zoom down Red River. We'll hit that next.
You know what? Let's start over now that we have light,
Okay.
in case this thing can go. And you know what? What I'm kind of going for is what we're doing, why we're doing it. We're driving around. We're trying to catch. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Yeah.
definitely.
Good question.
So what we're doing at the moment here is, you know, we're on the mobile cop watch patrol with the infamous Clay Dafoe at the helm, driving us. So we are driving around. We just left the east side, and what we do is we drive around and we look for traffic stops, and then we come up, and you know, we position ourselves on each side of the street and film, and we passively make our presence known. We purposely want them to see us, so it will deter them from violating someone's rights, as opposed to trying to hide and film, where if they know that somebody's there, they are far less likely to violate someone's rights. And that's our aim, and that's our objective. Our objective is not to catch them being criminals, it's to deter the criminal action altogether, and we have been very, very successful at that. So generally we do this on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. It starts at 11 p.m. and from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. We do this. We drive around from the east side onwards over to Lamar and patrol the west side, and then we'll make the loop back a couple of times. And then after 1 a.m. we reconvene, and then we head downtown, you know, in time to position ourselves at 6th and Trinity, which is where the police gather and flow out of whenever there's an incident. So we position ourselves with 2 squads. Generally one squad is patrolling through, one squad stays at 6th and Trinity with the massive police and follows them as they roll out. And then after 2 a.m. is when the foulest of all of Austin Police Department rolls out, the Goon Squad. It's these cop-mounted horses. There used to be 4 of them, and then they finally caught on that was like the biblical apocalypse. And they even included a pale horse. And so they finally added a 5th. And you know, thank God for that. So it's not quite as creepy anymore. And what they do is after 2 a.m., they take up the entire street with these horses lined up, and they just march through, and they will not stop under any circumstances. They just flow through. Well, the only circumstance that they'll actually stop for is if there's a fight, if they're trying to arrest somebody, if they're trying to detain somebody. The horses will literally charge at them and push them all the way out of the street, and they'll circle them in, and they will actually use them to prevent the public from being able to witness what's happening. They will use them to block view. They've done it to us several times. But anyway, so, you know, they march through the street, and they won't stop. They will trample you if you don't get out of the way. They will trample you. We have several clips of them nearly doing this, and one of the most frightening incidences was where there were 2 blind individuals in the street, and the Goon Squad was coming in on them, and they were, once I saw them, the Goon Squad about 10 feet away, I went, oh my God, they're not going to stop. And I ran up and intervened and screamed at them to stop, and that they were blind. I put my arm around one of the blind people to try to shield him in between the horses and them. And then the officer said something you know, quite fitting to me. You know, as if it was not her responsibility to defend the people, which we already know it is not. That is, in fact, the duty of the Peaceful Streets Project and why we're out here. She demanded that I get them out of the street and out of harm's way, which I complied with. So, you know, APD, you know, directly admitted in that incident that they do not feel it's the responsibility to protect the public, that it is, in fact, the responsibility of the Peaceful Streets Project. So that was quite interesting.
So what, if someone sees a cop they think breaking the law, what should they do? What advice do you give them?
What I give to them is that they immediately pull out their smartphone, they pull out a camera. Yes. So if an individual sees that there is something going on, if there's a traffic stop that they're walking up on, if the cops are detaining somebody or questioning them, they should get generally within 20 to 30 feet distance. They should pull out a smartphone if they have one and start filming a camera if they have that. Start taking pictures if they only have a picture phone. If nothing else, just witness and call in to the Lone Star Liberty Bell if they also have a phone on them, which is 512-34-UNITE, and it's a voicemail line. You can call into that and you can report the incident and where you're at, and then if any, and then it will send an email to everybody registered on the Liberty Bell network, and we'll all know that it's going on. If anybody's in the area, we'll get out there immediately if we can. But the biggest thing is just letting us know that it's going on and that you're there. So if something does happen, we know it's going on, and we can get the ball rolling a lot faster.
Mr. Pineda, I had a question relating to the incident with the blind people. My question is, now the officers ordered you to move 2 blind persons off the street. Was that an order, would you say, that you were given?
Request.
A request.
Yes. Basically, they were saying, well, if you want them out of the way, get them out of the way, because we're not going to do it.
Okay, but they didn't order you. It wasn't like if you didn't do what they said and move these blind
I'd be
folks
arrested?
off, you would be arrested for
No.
disobeying a lawful order.
No.
Okay.
So let me ask you.
But we know they can change this up quite frequently.
It could
so.
possibly, though, be used to entrap you somehow.
So what are you doing here? Why are you driving around doing this?
I just like hanging out with y'all and freedom lovers and documenting the Austin police, because there's a lot of abuse. The APD is actually, they follow procedure in many cases. In some cases, they do not. And I've always felt like the police department here in Austin was pretty laid back compared to other big cities in Texas like Dallas and Houston. But more and more, the police ratio that Lee Leffingwell has unwaveringly supported, where they have to have 2 officers for every 1,000 people, really shows me what waste we have in our state, in our governments, basically local, state, and federal. And meanwhile, children are starving and eating 50-cent pink slime beef at school and just like not living a good life and being impoverished. And we're giving the cops like really nice HD cameras, all the finest equipment. A couple years ago, APD had their cameras were VHS, and I forget the amount of money they spent, but they spent a hell of a lot of money updating digital filming. And you know, the police get whatever they want. That's the problem. Take left or straight.
Well, this is a one-way. Oh, I'm sorry.
The police get whatever they want here in Austin, and it's our criminals at the top, Lee Leffingwell and Laura Morrison, and even Kathy Tobo and these people that they'll act like they're your friend, but they'll give the cops whatever they want, and they're going to screw the community, rape Austin by giving tons of subsidies to major
Yeah, take a left here.
and organized crime thugs like Bernie Ecclestone of Formula One, and I'm really sick of it. So I think this is something small I can do to help out my fellow man and woman here in Austin and perhaps make a difference. Very nice. I love Austin, and I love old school Austin, like all the old places in Austin that make me feel like this is almost like a small town in some respects, like Broken Spoke, Barton Springs Pool, the Highball, which is getting shut down in South Austin. Also, Ray Hennick's Heart of Texas Music down there, music shop that's great. And just all the small things, Epoch Coffee, Pease Park, Waterloo Park, which is being destroyed as we speak, and they're building the new San Antonio Riverwalk there, and many others as well. Woolridge Park, which is where Food Not Bombs will give you food if you show up, or it used to be that way. So there's a lot of good things in Austin that we need to keep here to keep the vibe good, to help independent small business. I'm seeing a lot of corporate handouts to Apple and all these other companies. It makes no sense. We have a good economy, and every dollar you spend in a multinational corporation in Austin leaves Austin and makes our city less prosperous. So I'm all about the small business and the real Austin people and keeping it weird. And I think we're doing that tonight.
Definitely.
Straight or left?